I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am, typing away at my laptop while my mind races with thoughts that I never wanted to entertain. My name is Jake, and I've been married to Lisa for 5 years. On the surface, we had what many would consider a perfect life. We had a nice house in a friendly neighborhood, decent jobs, and at least from my perspective, a loving marriage. But recently, things started to feel off. It all began with that same car driving slowly past our house every Tuesday. It was a nondescript silver sedan, nothing special, but it became a part of my Tuesday routine. I'd see it while getting home from work, its engine humming quietly as it crept by, and I'd always think it was odd. Who drives by the same house week after week? I brushed it off at first, attributing it to coincidence or maybe a neighbor with a weird routine. But as the weeks rolled on, I noticed other strange behaviors from Lisa. She started staying late at work more often, claiming that her boss was piling on the responsibilities. This seemed plausible until I found out from a mutual friend that her boss had taken the week off for vacation. Lisa also became more secretive with her phone. I'd catch her texting late at night, her expression shifting to anxiety whenever I walked into the room. I tried to shake off my suspicions. Maybe I was being paranoid. After all, we had been through a lot together, and I didn't want to throw everything away based on my gut feeling. However, the more I noticed, the more I couldn't ignore the gnawing feeling in my gut. Then one Tuesday, I got home early from work. I was looking forward to having dinner with Lisa, but as I pulled into the driveway, I saw that familiar silver car parked down the street. My heart raced. I told myself it was probably just a coincidence, but deep down I knew. I had to find out what was going on. I waited inside, trying to calm my nerves. Would she be honest with me if I confronted her? Should I just let it play out and see if she would come clean on her own? Those questions danced in my mind, but when I heard the door open and Lisa call out to me with her usual upbeat tone, I felt a surge of determination. "Hey babe, I didn't expect you home so early," she said, her voice cheerful, but there was something off about it. I forced a smile and replied, "Yeah, surprise, how was your day?" We chatted for a bit, but my mind was elsewhere, fixated on the silver car I had seen. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong, so I decided to take a bold step. I casually asked her about her day, probing a little deeper about her work and how things were going. She hesitated for a moment, then her smile faded. "Oh, just the usual. My coworker Amy has been really sick and I've been picking up her slack." I raised an eyebrow, and just like that, her demeanor shifted. That's when I decided to dig. "You remember that silver car that keeps passing by? I saw it again today. It's weird, right?" Her expression changed, a flicker of unease crossing her face. "Oh, it's probably just someone lost. You know how people are." But the way she said it didn't sit right with me. It felt defensive. The conversation ended there, but I couldn't help but feel like I was on the brink of discovering something that would change everything. I just needed more proof to connect the dots. The next day, I took a different approach. I decided to follow her. This might not have been the best idea, but something deep inside me was desperate for truth. I watched as she left for work, waited an hour, and then got into my car and followed her route. My heart pounded as I maneuvered through traffic, careful not to lose her. And that's when the reality of my situation hit me. I didn't just suspect infidelity, I was about to witness it. This was where the funhouse mirrors of my marriage would shatter, revealing the ugly truth behind the facade. As I followed her through town, I felt my stomach churn. Where was she going? Who was she meeting? My thoughts raced as I turned a corner and saw her pull into a parking lot. I parked a short distance away, my heart racing, and held my breath as I watched her step out of the car. Then I saw him, a man tall and dark-haired, leaning against a truck. They greeted each other with a hug, and in that moment I felt my heart break. I had my answer. I was no longer just a husband, I was a man whose world had just collapsed. I couldn't watch anymore. I turned my car around and drove home, my mind swirling with disbelief. How could she? I had thought we were happy. What was happening to our life together? The betrayal hit me like a freight train, and I was left grappling with feelings I never knew I had. Anger, sadness, and a sense of betrayal welled up inside me. I couldn't let this go unanswered. I needed a plan. And so began my journey into the depths of heartbreak and revenge. I sat down, my mind racing, and started to think about how I would confront Lisa and what I would do next. I had to make sure she understood the consequences of her actions. To be continued. Once I got home, the reality of what I had just witnessed settled in like a dark cloud overhead. I felt numb, my emotions grappling for control. I paced around the living room, my mind racing with thoughts. Lisa had betrayed me, and I felt a righteous anger building inside me. I knew I had to confront her, but how? Should I do it calmly? Should I unleash my fury? Or should I play it cool and gather more information first? I decided the latter would be the best course of action. I needed to gather more evidence, something undeniable that would leave no room for her to wriggle out of the truth with some excuse or half-hearted justification. So I devised a plan. I would watch her more closely, even follow her again if it came to that. For the next week, I fell into a routine filled with suspicion and anticipation. Every Tuesday, I would watch for that silver car and keep note of when Lisa would leave for work. I became a shadow, lurking in the corners of my own life, waiting for a moment that would help me shatter the illusion she had created. A week later, my patience was rewarded. I saw the silver car again, and as I had suspected, it was parked down the street when Lisa left for work. I had my phone ready, and I quietly snapped a picture of it as I sat in my own car, hidden from view. It felt sickening to be tracking her this way, but I was desperate for the truth and clarity. Later that day, when Lisa got home, she seemed unusually cheerful. I couldn't let her see how much her actions had cut me, so I put on my best poker face. I tried to act normal, asking about her day and if there were any updates from work. She rambled on about projects and deadlines, her tone all too casual for the weight of betrayal hanging in the air. The next Tuesday, I followed her again, this time with a plan to confront her after gathering solid evidence. I parked my car in the same spot, hiding behind a row of trees, and watched her get into the silver car with the same man. My heart raced with a mix of anger and heartbreak as I saw them embrace before driving off together. As they drove away, I snapped more pictures, capturing moments that would serve as proof of her betrayal. I didn't know how I would confront her yet, but I wanted to be armed with evidence. I had text messages I had seen her hiding, and now I had pictures. Finally, the time came. That evening, I confronted her. I sat her down and told her I needed to talk. Her expression shifted from jovial to concerned, and I felt a surge of adrenaline as I prepared to dive into this emotional minefield. "Lisa, I saw you last Tuesday," I said, trying to remain calm even though my insides were churning with fury. "I saw you with him." Her face paled, and for a moment she looked genuinely shocked. "What are you talking about?" she stammered, trying to maintain her composure. "I followed you," I continued, my voice steady but firm. "I know you're cheating on me. I have pictures, Lisa." Her eyes darted around, panic setting in as she scrambled for words. "Jake, it's not what you think. You don't understand." "How can it not be what I think?" I replied, feeling the anger boil to the surface. "You've been lying to me for weeks. I've watched you change, and I can't just sit here and pretend I don't know what's happening. You've been having an affair." She opened her mouth to respond, but the words faltered. I didn't want to hurt you," she exclaimed. "It was just a fling. It didn't mean anything." That hit me hard. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. A fling? How could she trivialize it like that? A fling? Lisa, a fling doesn't happen with someone you meet every week. This isn't just a mistake. This is a choice you made. Her eyes filled with tears, and I could see the panic in her expression, but I wasn't about to let her manipulate me with emotions. "I need you to be honest with me," I pressed. "Why?" "Because I thought I was missing out on something," she cried. "I thought I was bored. You're always busy with work, and I just wanted to feel alive again." "Alive? By cheating on your husband? How is that alive? What about your vows, Lisa?" Her defenses crumbled as she struggled to find an explanation that made any sense. I could see she was grasping at straws, and the sadness in her eyes was palpable. But I refused to cave in. "You need to understand the gravity of what you've done. This isn't just about you feeling alive, it's about the damage you've done to us, to me." As the conversation unfolded, I felt my heart breaking over and over again. each word hitting like a knife. I realized that I had entered a phase of emotional warfare, and I was not ready to go down without a fight. The confrontation left us both raw and exposed. I was furious yet devastated, and she was scrambling to justify her actions and salvage whatever was left of our marriage. Yet in the back of my mind, I knew I had to make a decision. How would I respond to this betrayal? Her excuses flashed through my mind like a broken record. She seemed to think everything could be fixed with a few sincere-sounding "I'm sorry" but I wasn't convinced. I felt a growing resolve to confront this situation head-on, even if it meant making the hardest decision of my life. To be continued. As the confrontation lingered in the air, a heavy silence fell between us. Lisa sat there, tears streaming down her cheeks, while I battled a storm of emotions within myself. Anger, sadness, betrayal, each feeling crashing over me like a relentless tide. I had always believed that love could conquer all, but now I was left questioning everything I thought I knew about our marriage. After what felt like an eternity, I finally broke the silence. "What do you want, Lisa? What do you think is going to happen now?" My voice was steadier than I felt, but I needed to assert myself. This was my life too, and I didn't want to be a passive player in our story anymore. "I want to fix this, Jake," she pleaded, her voice cracking. "I made a mistake. I know that now. Please, let's go to counseling. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right." The thought of counseling made me scoff internally. I couldn't shake off the image of her laughing and flirting with another man while I was at home, completely oblivious to the destruction of our relationship. I wanted to tell her that it wasn't just a mistake. It was a conscious decision, a betrayal of everything we had built together. But what was the point? Could we even go back to what we had before? "Counseling," I echoed, struggling to keep my voice calm. "You think a therapist can just wave a magic wand and fix this? You betrayed my trust, Lisa. How do I know you won't do it again?" Her response came in the form of more tears, and I could see desperation in her eyes. "I'll change. I'll cut him out of my life. Just give me a chance to prove it to you." "Prove it?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "How can you prove that to me? I already feel like our entire life has been a lie. You've thrown away the best thing we had for a fling. Why should I believe anything you say now?" The truth was, I didn't know how to respond to her request. Part of me wanted to believe that love could repair the damage, but another part screamed that I needed to stand my ground. After all, how could I trust her again when she had betrayed my trust so easily? "What about him? Are you just going to cut him off like that?" "I can't imagine it's that simple." I pressed, my voice firm. "What are you going to tell him?" "I'll tell him it's over. I won't see him again, I promise," she insisted, her voice pleading. "I was just caught up in the moment. I swear I love you, Jake. You're my husband, and I want to make this work." The juxtaposition of her words and her actions felt like a cruel joke. How could she say she loved me while knowingly hurting me? I felt a surge of bitterness rise in me, and for a moment I considered the depths of my anger. "You know what?" I said sharply, my voice rising. "I don't believe you, not right now. I think you need to take some time to think about what you've done." At that moment, all I wanted was to walk away. I was exhausted from the pain, the anger, and the overwhelming mess that was our once happy marriage. I needed space to think, to breathe, and to process everything that had happened. "Jake, please," she cried as I moved toward the door. "Don't leave like this. We can work through this together." I turned to face her, my heart heavy. "I can't do this right now, Lisa. I need time to think." And with that, I stepped outside, feeling the cool evening air wrap around me like a blanket. I drove aimlessly, my thoughts swirling. I knew I should feel anger, but instead I felt hollow. I parked at a nearby park, staring blankly at the swings swaying in the evening breeze. I had spent countless nights here with Lisa, laughing and talking about our dreams. Now it all felt tainted, and the memories made my heart ache. As I sat there, I realized that I was at a crossroads. The trust we once had was shattered, but what was I willing to do about it? Did I want to fight for this marriage, or was it time to walk away? The weight of the decision loomed over me. I thought back to our wedding vows, the promises we made to each other before friends and family. Did they hold any weight now? Could I even imagine a life without her? Despite all her mistakes, there were moments I cherished, moments that made me fall in love with her. But love alone couldn't heal betrayal. I pulled out my phone, staring at the pictures I had taken. Each one felt like a dagger to my heart. I could show them to her, or I could keep them as a reminder of what not to endure. Eventually, I decided to head home. I wasn't ready to make a decision, but I knew I needed to gather everything I had, my thoughts, my emotions, and the evidence of her betrayal. I wanted to confront Lisa again, but this time I wanted to do it on my terms, not hers. When I arrived home, Lisa was sitting on the couch, her eyes red and puffy from crying. She looked up at me, vulnerability etched on her face. I couldn't help the flicker of sympathy I felt for her, but I quickly reminded myself of the truth. I know you're hurting, Lisa, I said, my voice softer this time. But you need to understand that what you did has consequences. I can't just forget it. I know, she whispered, her voice trembling. I'll do anything, Jake. Just please don't throw everything away. Her desperation struck a nerve, and I knew this would be the beginning of a long, difficult conversation. I wasn't ready to forgive, and I wasn't ready to forget. But I had to know, was there still a chance for us to find a way forward, or was it time to accept that our marriage had been irrevocably changed, to be continued? As I stood there, watching Lisa's tear-streaked face, I felt the weight of our situation pressing on my chest. I wanted to be angry, to unleash the full force of my betrayal-fueled rage onto her. But there was a part of me that still cared, that wanted to listen and understand. I took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. Lisa, I said slowly, I need you to be completely honest with me. No more excuses, no more half-truths. Tell me everything. I need to know what I'm dealing with here. She nodded, her eyes wide with fear. Okay, I'll tell you everything. Her voice trembled as she began to recount her version of the events, and I braced myself for the storm of emotions that would follow. I met him at a work conference a couple of months ago. His name is Mark. At first it was just flirting, harmless fun. I didn't think it would lead anywhere, but then I don't know, we started texting. It felt exciting, like I was alive again. I never meant for it to go this far, she confessed, her voice breaking. Alive, I echoed bitterly. What about our marriage? Did that not make you feel alive? I regretted the harshness in my tone, but the pain felt overwhelming. I thought I was missing something, she continued, her voice barely above a whisper. With work being so stressful and you working late all the time, I felt like we were drifting apart. I wanted to feel wanted, desired. I thought it was just a silly crush, but it turned into something more, something I regret so deeply. So, you decided to throw away everything we have for a fling? I challenged, struggling to wrap my head around her reasoning. You could have just talked to me, Lisa. We could have worked on things together. I know, but I was scared, Jake. I didn't want to admit that I was unhappy, she cried. I thought I could have both worlds, that I could still love you while exploring something new. But I realize now how stupid that was. I hurt you, and I'm so sorry. The more she talked, the more I felt the anger ebb away, replaced instead by a deep, aching sadness. I had never wanted to be in this position, having to weigh the love we shared against the betrayal that had shattered it. Do you love him? I asked, a question I had been dreading to ask, but I needed clarity. I don't know, she admitted, her eyes downcast. I thought I did, but it was different. It was exciting, yes, but it didn't have the depth that we have. It was just physical. With you, it's different. You're my partner, my best friend. I made a horrible mistake, and I see it now. Her honesty was refreshing, yet the pain of what she had done still gnawed at me. So, what happens now? I asked, my voice trembling. You can't just expect me to wipe this slate clean. Trust isn't something that can be magically restored. I know, she replied, desperation creeping into her voice, but I want to try. I'll do anything. I'll end things with him right now. I'll even block him if you want. Part of me wanted to scream, to tell her that it wasn't that easy, but I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe there was a chance we could rebuild. However, I was also aware that rebuilding was going to be a long and painful process. Okay, I said cautiously. Let's take things one step at a time. You say you want to cut him out. I need to see that. I need to be involved in this process. This is my heart we're talking about. She nodded vigorously. Absolutely. I'll do whatever it takes. I could see how genuine she was, and despite everything, I felt a small part of my heart opening up to the possibility of healing. But it wouldn't be easy. There would be a lot of hard conversations ahead, and I needed to protect myself as well. Let's look into counseling then. I suggested, trying to keep my voice even. But know that this journey won't be quick or painless. It's going to take time. Time is what we need, she replied softly. I'm willing to do it for us. I took a step back, glancing out the window as I gathered my thoughts. The sun was setting in the distance, casting a warm glow over the trees in our backyard. The familiar sight, once a symbol of comfort and home, now felt tainted with shadows of betrayal. I need space tonight, I said, my voice steady but firm. I can't process everything right now. I want to make this work, but I need to think. Of course, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'll sleep on the couch tonight. Take all the time you need. As I walked away from her, I felt a heaviness settle in my chest. I didn't want to lose her, but could I live with the doubt that lingered in the back of my mind? I needed to gather my strength and figure out what I truly wanted moving forward. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our conversation. I thought of the love we had once shared, the dreams we had built, and the life we had envisioned together. It felt like a distant memory now, overshadowed by the reality of infidelity. I had a lot to consider. Could I forgive her? Could we rebuild what had been broken? It would take time, trust, and a lot of hard work, but at that moment I couldn't provide an answer. All I had was a mix of hope and despair, both of which would guide me in the days to come. To be continued. The next few days passed in a haze of uncertainty and emotional turmoil. I kept thinking about Lisa and what we had discussed. She was trying to prove her commitment to making things right, but I was still reeling from the betrayal. I felt like I was living in a fog, oscillating between anger, sadness, and a flicker of hope that maybe we could salvage our marriage. We agreed to go to counseling, and I set up an appointment for the following week. It felt like a small step, but it was a step nonetheless. Lisa began blocking Mark on social media and deleted his number from her phone, showing me the evidence as proof of her commitment. Each time she did something to prove her loyalty, I felt a twinge of something. Maybe it was trust, maybe it was desperation, but I wasn't quite ready to let my guard down. I found myself searching for answers, trying to understand how we had ended up here. I replayed old conversations and analyzed every moment. Had I really been so oblivious to her unhappiness? Did I contribute to this in any way? One evening, after a long day at work, I came home to find Lisa waiting for me. She had made dinner, a simple but heartfelt gesture that brought a flicker of warmth to my heart. We sat down together and she tried to engage me in small talk, asking about my day and how I was feeling. "Jake, how are you holding up?" she asked, her eyes filled with concern. "I'm managing," I replied, trying to sound more optimistic than I felt. "It's just a lot to process. I don't want to be angry, but I'm still hurt. It's going to take time." "I get that," she nodded. "And I'm here for the long haul. I want to show you that I'm serious about working on this. I know I made a horrible mistake and I'm ready to face the consequences." Her words were sincere, but I couldn't shake the doubt that lingered in my mind. Every so often, I'd catch her looking at her phone, almost instinctively, as if she were waiting for a message from Mark. The thought made my stomach twist with anger. That night, as we settled in for bed, I couldn't help but feel the distance between us. I lay on my side, staring at the wall, while Lisa lay turned toward me, her expression a mixture of hope and fear. "Jake, I want you to know that I love you," she said softly. "I want us to get back to where we were before all of this. I miss you." "I miss us too," I admitted, feeling a pang in my chest. "But it's going to take more than just words. I need to see real effort, Lisa. I need to know you're not going to run back to him the moment things get tough." "I won't, I promise. I'm committed to this. I want to rebuild." There was a desperation in her voice that tugged at my heart, but as I lay there, I couldn't help but feel a flicker of resentment. Why should I be the one to take the risk of reopening myself to her? It was infuriating to think that I was the one left to pick up the pieces. By the time our counseling session rolled around, I was a bundle of nerves mixed with cautious optimism. I wanted to believe that this could be a turning point for us, but the fear of being hurt again loomed heavily in my mind. We arrived at the therapist's office and Lisa squeezed my hand as we walked in. The room was cozy, filled with soft lighting and comfortable chairs. It felt like a safe space, but I was still on edge. The therapist introduced herself and began asking us questions about our relationship, focusing on communication and trust. I could feel Lisa's tension beside me. She was trying hard to convey sincerity, and I admired her for it, but doubt still seeped into my mind. As the session progressed, we talked about our feelings, our hopes, and our fears. I expressed my anger and disappointment, while Lisa spoke about her loneliness and desire for attention. The therapist guided us gently, encouraging Lisa to take ownership of her actions while also allowing space for me to voice my hurt. "I want to understand, Lisa," I said, my voice steady but filled with emotion. "I need to know why you felt the need to seek something outside our marriage. I thought we were happy." "I thought I was happy too," she replied, her voice trembling. "But I let my insecurities get the best of me. I didn't realize how much I needed to communicate my feelings to you. I was scared, and instead of being honest, I chose to hide behind a facade of excitement and temptation." The weight of her words hung in the air, and for a moment I felt a flicker of understanding. But it was fleeting, quickly overshadowed by the bitterness of betrayal. I wanted to forgive her. I wanted to move forward. Yet the scars of her choices were fresh, and the journey to healing felt daunting. Over the next few weeks, we continued to attend counseling sessions. Each week peeled back layers of hurt, and at times it felt like we were making progress. Yet every step forward was countered with reminders of the past, like when I'd hear a notification on her phone and my heart would race with anxiety. One evening, as we were winding down, I noticed Lisa's phone buzzing on the table. I glanced at it, my heart skipping a beat as I recognized the name that flashed across the screen: Mark. My stomach twisted as I felt anger surge through me. "Who's that?" I asked, my voice steady despite the turmoil within me. "It's just a text from work," she replied, her voice faltering. "I'll check it later." "No, I think we need to check it now," I insisted, my heart pounding. "I can't do this anymore, Lisa. I need to know the truth." She hesitated, her eyes darting back to her phone. "Jake, please, I'm trying to put this behind us by keeping in contact with him." I shot back, feeling the rage boil over. "How can I trust you if you're still entertaining the idea of talking to him? I thought we were committed to fixing this." The tension in the room thickened as she sank into the couch, covering her face with her hands. "I thought it was over. I thought I could handle it, but I can't, and I don't want to talk to him anymore. I want you." My heart raced with a mix of anger, betrayal, and despair. I felt lost, teetering on the edge of forgiveness and resentment. I knew we were in over our heads, and this was a turning point we needed to confront. "Lisa, I need you to show me that you're committed to us. No more texts, no more contact." "If you can't do that, I don't know how we can move forward," I said firmly. "I will, I promise," she pleaded, her eyes pleading with sincerity. "I'll cut ties, I swear." With that, I realized that this moment would define us. It would either bring us back together or drive us further apart. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing: I had to fight for our marriage, or I had to let it go, to be continued. After that heated exchange, things felt different. The tension in the air was thick with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. Lisa promised me she would cut all ties with Mark, and though part of me wanted to believe her, I still grappled with doubt. Could I trust her again after everything that had happened? In the days that followed, Lisa made a visible effort to rebuild our relationship. She started leaving her phone unattended, showing me her texts, and even suggested we take a weekend trip to connect and escape the chaos we had been through. I appreciated the gestures, but the nagging anxiety in the back of my mind wouldn't fade. As the weekend approached, I found myself feeling a mix of excitement and dread. We packed our bags, but I could sense the unease lingering beneath the surface. It was a beautiful cabin nestled in the woods, far away from distractions, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to reconnect without the weight of our daily lives hovering over us. On the drive, I tried to engage with her, asking about her work and sharing memories of happier times. Lisa responded enthusiastically, her laughter filling the car, and for a fleeting moment I felt hope shimmering in the distance. Maybe this trip could be a fresh start for us. But as we settled into the cabin, the weight of our issues settled in as well. We cooked dinner together, and while the atmosphere was light, the conversation kept veering toward the subject we were both avoiding. I knew we needed to address it, but every time I tried to broach the topic, Lisa would change the subject, her eyes betraying the anxiety she was trying to mask. Finally, that night, as we curled up on the couch in front of the fireplace, I couldn't hold back any longer. Lisa, we need to talk about everything. I don't want to gloss over what happened. I need to know you're really committed to this. She sighed, her expression shifting. I thought we were moving past it, Jake. I want to move past it. I want us to be happy again. I want that too, I admitted, my voice steady but filled with uncertainty. But I need to know you're truly done with Mark. No more texts, no more contact. I can't handle the thought of you reaching out to him. I promise I've deleted everything, she said, her eyes earnest. I don't want him in my life anymore. I want to focus on us and what we can rebuild together. Then let's set some ground rules, I suggested, feeling a mix of resolution and nervousness. I want us to be open about everything. If you're ever feeling lonely or neglected, please talk to me about it. I want to know what's going on in your head. No more hiding. She nodded, her gaze unwavering. Absolutely. I'll be honest with you. I'll communicate better. As we spoke, the warmth of the fire crackled softly, and for the first time in a while I felt a glimmer of hope. I knew that it wouldn't be easy, and the road ahead would be filled with challenges. But this was a start, and I needed to believe in the possibility of healing. The next morning we went for a hike in the woods. The fresh air felt rejuvenating, and as we walked hand in hand, I caught glimpses of the woman I fell in love with. We talked about our dreams and aspirations, allowing ourselves to envision a future beyond the betrayal. Yet, doubts still lingered. I couldn't shake the thought of how fragile our bond had become. I needed to protect myself while also allowing space for her to prove her sincerity. It was a delicate balance. As we headed back to the cabin, I spotted Lisa's phone buzzing on the table. The moment felt like a punch to my gut. I wanted to trust her, but the fear was overwhelming. Can I see it? I asked, my heart racing. Jake, please, she said, panic flashing in her eyes. I told you I cut ties. I don't want to go through this again. Just show me, I insisted, feeling the tension rise. With a reluctant sigh, she picked up the phone and unlocked it, handing it to me. I scrolled through her messages, heart pounding, and I felt a wave of relief wash over me as I saw nothing from Mark. But then I noticed a message from one of her friends suggesting they catch up over drinks. Who's this? I asked, pointing to the message. Lisa's expression shifted. Just a friend. She was checking in on me. I glanced at her, sensing she was withholding something. Are you being honest with me? I am. It's just a casual thing, she insisted, her voice rising. I'm trying to rebuild trust here, and you're not making it any easier. Maybe I wouldn't feel this way if I hadn't been blindsided. I shot back, frustration bubbling to the surface. The conversation descended into another cycle of hurt, and I felt the walls closing in again. I wanted to believe in her, but the fear was suffocating. That night, as we lay in bed, I contemplated everything that had happened. I still loved her, but the betrayal had left scars that wouldn't heal overnight. I had to make a choice. The next morning, I woke up early, and as the sun peeked through the trees, I wrapped my mind around what I needed to do. I couldn't continue living in a state of constant fear and uncertainty. I needed clarity for both myself and for Lisa. When she woke up, I took her hands in mine. We need to figure out what we're doing moving forward, I said, my voice firm yet compassionate. I want to work on this, but I need to set some boundaries. If we're going to make this work, I need you to commit to being completely honest, even about the small things. I will, she promised, her eyes earnest. I want this, Jake, I want us. With that, I made a decision. I would give her a chance, but it would be under the condition that we both make a conscious effort to rebuild our relationship. I wouldn't let the past define us, but I also wouldn't ignore the lessons learned. As we packed our bags to leave the cabin, I felt a sense of cautious optimism. We had a long road ahead, but the journey to rebuild trust had begun. In the end, I learned that relationships require constant effort and communication. Betrayal is painful, but forgiveness is possible when two people are willing to confront their issues honestly. Trust takes time to mend, but it can be rebuilt stronger than before. As we drove away from the cabin, I glanced at Lisa, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a flicker of hope. We were still together, and we were willing to fight for what we had. Whatever the future held, we were ready to face it together.